Okay, so last week I talked about the Ghibli art style AI trend. So OpenAI allowed you to say, like, I want to take this picture and turn it into Ghibli style art. And then people were using it as profile pictures. It kind of spread across Instagram. All these people like, oh, look, I'm a Ghibli cartoon. I'm so cute. Now, my point was, is an art style copyrightable? Because I don't think it is. The problem is, to train an AI on a style of art, you would have to take the copywritten art and feed that into the AI in order to get the ability to reproduce the art style. Okay, but that was a hard sentence. So my feeling is, while they can't maybe sue for the art style, they can say, you clearly have had to take copywritten material, feed it into your AI, and now you're producing this content without our permission. There might be something there. People aren't necessarily taking my opinion too seriously because I'm just a very tiny podcaster in the world of the internet. But there are other people, artists who have some renown, who are now taking to the internet and saying, like, this is awful. The director of One Piece said that they are in despair over this trend. The fact that these clearly copywritten material has been fed into AI, and that AI is then taking that material and now is changing pictures, and that art style is going out and it's being copied around the internet. And it's really unfair because, again, you're stealing art from the artists who make them. You're stealing a style of art that maybe someone took years and years to develop and learn and create themselves, and you're just throwing it away in minutes. So this led to this actually being discussed in the House of Representatives. God damn it. This led this to actually being discussed in the House of Representatives, because they were, again, having the same qualms and queries about that I do. Like, is it copyright infringement to steal a style of art when you're not actually stealing the art itself? So if I make a copy of a character, that's copyright infringement. If I do something, if I draw a new original character in the same style, is that copyright infringement? So this was part of their discussion. If it is only a matter of the style or ideas being similar, then it would not be considered copyright infringement, he explained the law. So that's copyright law. So if you're not stealing the actual thing, then it's not copyright infringement, even if you do it in the same style. However, if AI-generated content is determined to be similar or reliant on pre-existing copyrighted works, then there is a possibility that it could constitute copyright infringement. So the use of styles and ideas is legal, but an AI-generated image were recognized as being Ghibli itself, then it would be a violation of law. So saying, me as an artist, I make a Ghibli style image, but I draw it myself, as long as I'm not using their actual characters or properties, that's fine. But because AI doesn't have that process or thought, they have to have taken copywritten material to learn from. Then there could be a violation because they haven't paid for that copyright stuff to be used in the first place. Dewey Sukarno is this lady on TV in Japan. She's like 70 something years old. I hate her. I hated her from the first time I saw her. She just reeks of rich entitlement. So she's old, she's rich, she's probably been rich her whole life. She used to be really hot, I guess. She was on TV, she was famous. She's now famous for being old and rich. And so of course she's classy, and I do that with air quotes. She does all these like really annoying things that rich people do that are really pretentious and awful. And so everything about her is the antithesis to me. I hate everything that she embodies. So I've always hated having her on TV. My family used to watch this show on Sunday nights. She was a regular feature. If she was on it, I would like whip out my phone or leave the room. I found her that disgusting to have in front of my face. My family didn't get it. They're like, oh, she's just an old lady and she's kind of funny because, you know, she's out of touch. And I'm like, no, she's out of touch because she thinks she's better than everyone else. And I find that really gross. Dewey Sukarno was in a restaurant in Shibuya, and she's been accused. Now, accused is an interesting thing because that's the legal term for she did it, but we haven't actually prosecuted her yet. She's been accused of throwing a champagne glass. The bougiest crime you could commit is throwing a champagne glass at someone, injuring someone, or attempting to injure someone with something they probably couldn't even afford. They were at an employee of her agency. So she's sitting at a dinner. There are 6 employees of her agency working together. They're talking to her. One of her employees obviously says something that pisses her off. Not her employee directly, but works for the same agency that promotes her. So she gets pissed off, so she does what any reasonable human being would do, and she throws a glass, the only glass in front of her, which is a champagne glass, of course, because she's a fucking old bitch and I hate her guts. The reason she got angry is because they were talking about a political party she has recently formed. Now, I was really surprised to hear that this lady had formed a political party because I didn't think she had sort of any political aspirations of any value. And then I found out what the stated goals of her political party were. The Wanyan Peace Party. Now, if you don't speak Japanese, Wanyan's already a big clue as to what kind of party this is. Wan is dog. And yan is sort of the sounds that dogs and cats make. So they go wan wan and nyan and stuff. So it's the Wanyan Peace Party, focused on dogs and cats protection policies exclusively. So this woman who feels it's perfectly appropriate to pick up a champagne glass and throw it at another human being is so devout to the protection of animals, dogs and cats, that she's actually forming a political party to do it. The level of fucking hypocrisy in that moment is astronomical. She has no regard for the safety or well-being of other people because they're not as rich as she is. But you know this bougie bitch has a bunch of fucking dogs and cats, little poodles and shit. And like I'm saying that while I have a poodle in my own fucking lap right now, because I would actually never equate the value of the animal to another person in a negative way, like saying, well, my bougie little poodle is worth more than your actual human life. I might even find them equivalent because I hate you and love the dog, but that's a different thing altogether. The dog has proved its value to me in a different way. I think I've gotten off track now. I see my own irony in this statement as I may say this thing, because I right now have a bougie poodle sitting in my lap, the same which, if you watch the YouTube video, has a portrait of on my wall. But I consider human life just as valuable as the dog. So I have nothing against forming a political party that will protect the rights of animals. I do think I have a problem with forming a political party that will protect the rights of animals whose leader seems to think it's perfectly acceptable to huck glass at another human being. It's just such a rich lady thing to do. I'm going to protect all the animals in the world. I don't really give a shit about the humans sitting in front of me. In fact, they can go fuck themselves if they don't agree with everything I say. I think it's perfectly acceptable for me to throw shit at their faces and maybe scar them for life. So we had a story about an American guy who had a gun in his backpack and turned himself in. We have another story the next week, just last week, of another guy who packed weapons saying he intended to go to Expo. Now we have a sort of third story. It's Expo related and weapons related. So it just seemed to fit this theme. Expo seems to be bringing out the craziest. I think the first guy was just coming to Japan. I don't think it was necessarily for Expo. The second guy, though, specifically said, I'm going to Expo and I brought my gun. Not making it clear if there's a relation there. I'm still actually following up on that story, seeing if there is an actual connection between bringing the gun, if he intended to experiment with the gun with the crowds at Expo. But this is why Expo has extra security, because this kind of stuff is happening. There was an 80-year-old man who was arrested for claiming that he had a bomb in his backpack. He basically was going into Expo, and they said they want to do a backpack check. So they take your backpack, they open it up. When they go to open his backpack, he says to them, haha, there's a bomb in my backpack. Staff, of course, can't tell if he's joking or not. So they do the only thing that's perfectly reasonable for them to do. They call security, they call the police, they shut down everything. They get all the people out there, like 200 people had to be evacuated from that area. And then they actually had to go through his bomb, and the man was arrested. When he was arrested, he said, I got excited because I'm a fan of the Expo. I said it half in jest. I didn't mean to disrupt the event. Now, half in jest is already the wrong phrase to use. You should not be joking at all that you're having a bomb. But if you're saying your joke is that you have a bomb, it should not be half. There shouldn't be like half a bomb in there. You're either going to make the whole joke or no joke at all. The problem is no one can tell that you're joking. And I actually hope this guy gets quite severely punished. a Japanese music label has released songs by Aki Yashiro, previous hits and others. So basically, this is one of those like greatest hits of Aki, all the songs that were popular 10, 15, 20 years ago. And they've decided that we need something special. So basically, everyone who's a fan already has these songs. They don't need another CD with these songs. We have to do something to make the people really want to buy this CD. So they included in the CD 2 nude photos from when she was in her 20s. The problem is she died in 2023, so we have no idea if she actually approved of this or would approve of this or has approved of this in writing. So basically, these guys have the rights to the CD. They seem to have the rights for the photos, but they haven't necessarily gotten her permission to publish them, but they're going to go ahead with it anyways. Governors in the area are actually saying that this should be canceled. You should not be allowed to release this without her permission, without her statement, without, I don't know if they do estates like they do in North America, without her estate's permission. But basically, everyone is kind of grossed out about it, but at the same time, a bunch of people are actually going to buy it. We've got a very weird AI porn Venn diagram happening in today's episode. So we've already done one AI story. We just did a nude photo story. Now we hit the combination. Shueisha's Playboy magazine. So not the Playboy magazine you would be familiar with from North America, where it's just like centerfolds and stuff like that. This is more of a men's magazine in Japan. They do have bikini spreads and stuff like that in it. I actually have never bought it, so I don't know if that's 100% accurate. But I know sexy girl on the cover, sexy girls inside. I don't know what they actually do. I've never actually picked one up and opened it. On April 14th, so a couple weeks ago, they released an issue with Satsuki Ai on the cover, Ai being an AI model. This is not the first time she's actually been promoted or featured in the magazine. She was first released, because I can't say like she like came to the scene or debuted, in summer of 2023. They call her, Playboy describes her as a little sister type, a little sister type beautiful girl with a raccoon face that embodies every man's ideal. And this shows the very different cultural way of explaining things. So I don't know what a raccoon face is. I looked at the picture. I mean, if I'm going to be honest, very attractive woman. I get that she's not real, so it doesn't really do that much for me. But she is a very ideal, pretty person, but I didn't see the raccoon aspects. I assume they mean big eyes and small nose, maybe. Maybe eats a lot of garbage. I'm not really 100% sure what they mean by raccoon face. Raccoon face is clearly a type in Japanese that I haven't come across because I haven't spent a lot of time talking about women in Japanese terms in Japanese. Little sister type, again, the fetishization of youth is very set in Japan. It's a very common thing. There's not much you can say there. We're not getting away from it, even if you think it's gross. The only benefit here is they haven't tried to hide the fact that she was AI. So viewer reaction is mixed. Some people are like, put real women in there if you're going to put real women in there. And some people are like, yes, the AI beauty ideal is the ideal of every man because, of course, it can actually achieve real ideals and like doesn't have any sort of human flaws. And we don't actually have to deal with people. And let's face it, if you're into this, you're not dealing with people anyways. I don't know how I feel about it. I mean, my actual feeling is people are still buying magazines. And then we get to our final set of stories. So I've stuck these two together because they sort of, again, the Venn diagram of overlap is almost a circle with these two. We've had the first AI porn arrests in Japan. And so 4 people were arrested, 3 men and a woman. They were arrested for the distribution of obscene material in obscene images. So they've been accused of training AI from free internet tools using data of women's bodies. That in itself is not a crime. They said, we're going to take these AI images of women we've created and make posters, and you can buy those posters. That in itself is not a crime. They said, like the legal thing in Japan is that if you have genitals visible, you have to blur them out or do a mosaic or something. They said these posters, when you get them, they will be censored. They will be mosaicked. They will be blurred out. But when the posters actually arrived, they weren't. So you were getting full genitalia visualization of the AI image on the poster. So you were getting, that's where the obscene part comes in. The bit that was supposed to be censored was not censored when you actually received your poster. They seem to have made 10 million yen last year. selling these AI uncensored posters. Everything they did before the uncensored bit was technically legal. When they actually sent out the image that wasn't censored, that's when it became illegal, and that's when they all got arrested and got in trouble. Which leads me again to the same statement as previously. People are still buying posters for their walls. Like, I know it'd be a lot of work to train it yourself, but also you could just go on the internet and do some printing at home if that's what you really wanted. A new issue has arisen in Japan, and is the combination of AI being used with graduation photos and then deep faking them onto porn. There's no national law about deep fakes yet in Japan. There is one in Tottori Prefecture. So this seems to be where it happened. So someone got a hold of the data for graduation photos. So these are very young people, baby graduates of high school. And they're taking those faces and putting those faces and deep faking them onto porn. And so you have this essentially still underage vision of pornography being used, even though no one's actually in it. And then what they're doing is actually trying to extort the people, saying like, here's a video that I made of you, give me X amount of yen and I won't release it on the internet. Tottori, a single prefecture, has made this a crime. So it's threatening, it's extortion, and it's using sort of revenge porn laws. Revenge porn laws are already in place in Japan. So you're not allowed to take an image of someone and post it on the internet to get them like in trouble or make them feel bad. That's already illegal pretty much everywhere in Japan, I'm pretty sure. But this is a new version because you're not getting a picture of them having sex or images of them nude and posting those on the internet and threatening them that way. You're just taking their face, which is almost publicly available because of the graduation photos, and using that. So now all these people are basically sitting around, A, should we continue with the graduation book photo tradition in Japan? B, is there any way we can protect them? And C, if someone does this, do we have laws in place to actually protect them? And they are now, Tottori has now set a precedent. So I'm betting other prefectures will take that precedent and be able to apply it to any instances that happen in their actual prefectures later on. So it seems like, again, a lot of rules are going to be changing very quickly. As AI becomes more common and more usable, more laws need to be put in place to actually protect people from the abuse of AI. Because of the way the Golden Week holiday falls this year, so it's going to be the next 2 Tuesdays, which is when I actually record this. Ninja News Japan is going to be on hiatus for Golden Week at least. I'm actually thinking of revamping all the things I do because I have so many things I actually want to do. I need to rework my schedule so I can kind of do everything. I do Ninja News Japan. I want to bring C. McBee back, so I'm actually trying to make plans to do that. I have another side project called Sounds Great English, where I teach English on the internet. I want to do that. I want to work on Montana El Diablo. I want to learn new things. I want to stream. I have all these things I want to do, and I've just simply sort of burned out on trying to do them all. So I'm going to take at least Golden Week off and try to revamp my life so that I can do everything in a manageable way. This might be Ninja News Japan goes down to twice a month or every week, but it's shorter, or I do a bit every week. I have no idea what I'm going to do yet, but I want to do all these other things in concert with doing Ninja News Japan. I want to work on the next book from Montana El Diablo. I want to work on video projects. I want to work on editing game videos so they can go up on YouTube. I want to work on C. McBee IMDb so you get more videos of me making like Mystery Science Theater style jokes about movies. So I've overwhelmed myself with the things I want to do, but I do want to do everything. And so this is just a case of managing my time in a way that I get to do a little bit of everything, maybe every week. So I'm not saying Ninja News Japan is going away. In fact, what I want to do is bring more content to the internet, but I want to do it in a way that doesn't actually burn me out. So that's kind of where I am right now. I'm going to see you 2, maybe 3, 4 weeks from now, back with Ninja News Japan. And I actually put money on, if I'm at home all day, I actually bet I do a Ninja News Japan, just throw it out there. But I don't want to promise that and then not do it. So we're looking at a 2-week break minimum, maybe in a little bit, maybe even a little bit longer. But that it doesn't mean Ninja News Japan is going away. It just means I'm trying to make my life better so that I can make your life better with more content that you can enjoy in hopefully just a broader variety of topics.